Greetings, a follow-up video today, thinking on from the last one about the third eye. Now I've had discussions with people several times about the potentiality of humanity, and when we're told of this dormant DNA or this so-called junk DNA, and we're only operating on 5 senses. From a geometric perspective, I would say we have 360 senses. And it would be very interesting to speculate what those senses can or cannot do. In fact, it may even be just 120 senses if we see ourselves in terms of mind, soul and body, because maybe some of those senses pertain just to the spiritual realm, or the realm of the mind, or the realm of the body. Certainly with the physical side, it may just be simply that within this dormant DNA you have the ability to grow a new limb, or to rapidly heal yourself. So from a physical point of view, there's an enormous potential in that. There are just a few things worth thinking about. Now, one of the things that is spoken about often in the religious sense and also in the spiritual sense is about letting go. And you'll hear the saying that more is less and less is more. And the clues are in the words. When you see or when you understand the concept of when we talk about ourselves as being vessels and as being energy, there is always an electrical and a water reference in everything. Hence you have cells in your body. There's one example in the same sense as cells in a battery, which when you vote or volt, you go to the poles, and you then put your charge in one direction or another. Now, as vessels, if you see yourself as a vessel of water but also on a sea of lies, we can be rocked by emotions, energy motions. Now, the best place for any vessel to be is to be moored. So, in one sense, more can be seen as greed, but more can also be seen as stationary and still. There is a dark side to this when you think of Myra Hindley and Ian Brady, the Moors murders. It is telling you straight there that it's not, on that dark sinister side, that it's not just two people who do sick and depraved things with children. They are telling you there is more. It's putting it right there, but most people can't see that side of things because they see things very black and white, but you have to look further. It is very important to understand that we create through sound, and that sound can be influenced by the spell or the spelling. So I would like to dispel a few misperceptions. When we move into the Latin languages, look at what more becomes. It becomes l'amor, it becomes love. And if it is done from a place of benevolence, you're not wanting for yourself. More now becomes l'amor or amor. It is spreading out love. The clues are all in these words. It's just looking at them in a slightly different way. Hear the sound rather than the spell. It opens up a whole new perception on things. And yes, I do like to consider what the potentialities of humanity are if we were able to define and quantify all 360 senses. It would be quite amazing. But we have to work with the senses we have. And as I mentioned on the last video about the visible light and the spectrum of the physical eyes only being 1% of that visible light. Think of it also in terms of vibration and frequency. So when you have a radio, we're talking about the old traditional radios, where you tune the dial and you pick up on that frequency of that broadcast, but you are totally unaware there are simultaneous broadcasts going on. And this is what this opening up of the senses is all about. You do start to see, sense and feel a whole new world that is outside of the 5 senses. People will talk about this in everyday situations. They talk about somebody having a magnetic personality or somebody else having charisma. Now, charisma is from the Christus within inside. It is your magnetic energy. You'll hear the terms about, oh, I don't like somebody standing in my personal or getting into my personal space. Well, that is your magnetic field that you create around you. You can, without even having your eyes open, you can detect when somebody comes into that your own personal space, your magnetic field. Likewise, most people can be aware of somebody else, another presence in a room, without even seeing or hearing them come into the room. All these little signs are there. It's just doing what is known as the inner work to find it within yourself, because you all have this potential within you. And as I said on the last video, you also have choice. So you can choose to dismiss this and say, this is just a load of rubbish, and you're quite happy to be in the 3-dimensional world. But as far as I'm concerned, that's your choice, but you're going to be missing out on so much more. There is enormous potential, and it doesn't have to be dark, it doesn't have to be sinister. We can create what we want. This is the whole thing with humanity. It does not realise its full potential. The system is put there in place to make you feel like you're born of sin, you're nothing, you're unworthy. That is not the case at all. And the clue, again, is in the when you start looking at this from the spiritual side of things, when we're talking about raising the energy level, because you are already there. It's just unlocking these doorways so you see this new perception on life and how things really are is far more than our physical eyes will show us. It's just we have such a very narrow band of perception that we miss out. We cannot see these other frequencies with our present abilities. It is only by unlocking these from within us that we all have that then things really do start to open up, and you do see things in a completely different way. You find the value of true wealth, which is nothing to do with printed money at all. Another thing I will say here as well, what is love? I can love everybody without even knowing most of you, or even having any personal contact with you. We don't even have to like each other. But again, this is doing more. By doing less, I'm doing more. Everything comes from nothing, nothing comes from everything. It is there in all the words and phrases if you just think about what you're hearing as opposed to the way it is being spelled upon you. It really does open up a whole new perception. There's no magic to this. There is a true magic in the way things work, yes. But anything is only magical when it is not understood how it works. Once the magic is understood, it sort of loses something of its magic, certainly with the magician's tricks you see on stage, which are illusions. That is not true magic at all, but there is an unseen realm to all this, and you do have the ability to manifest and create what you want, but you have to do the work first. This is not going to come to anybody until they do the inner work and continue to do the inner work, because it's not just done once. You've got to keep doing this over and over every day. But it's like everything. The more you put into something, the more you're going to get out of it. So the more you go inside yourself and find yourself and be totally honest with yourself, That is when you radiate out the energy, which will attract the same energy back, because it is magnetic. That is exactly what we are. We are magnetic energy, and we're also described in terms of electricity and of water as vessels, and all the other terms to do with law. When they say stand clear 200 volts, they are paddles they are using to restart the heart, to give you a shock, to shock the heart, to give it an extra boost. It's all energy and water in everything. There is a big part of understanding exactly what we are in this physical form. So I hope this has made things a bit clearer and opened up whole new ways, and I hope you will continue to explore this, because you'll be amazed where this takes you. It is a journey. This spiritual awakening is a journey within, and things will just come to you. You might see number sequences, for example. Just look up angel numbers on the Google search. It will tell you. They're little reminders. They're there to guide you. That is real magic. Thank you.